So, good evening once again. I welcome us to tonight's class. So basically, I created a poll on the WhatsApp page, and most of us said should go back to the basics of SQL. So, what I'll be doing is I'll be using a website to actually explain some of the basic concepts of SQL. Or is there any site that you wish, like, that you want me to explain, or I should just start from the basics of SQL?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, how was your day?
Just fine. Oh. How about you?
It was good. It was okay. For me, I would love for you to start with the basics, and also, based on what I've seen, they said SQL is basically used to one of the advantages of the tool is to get data from how will I explain it now? It's more or less like you're getting data from site or database or something. I do not really understand that pattern, how it is done.
Okay. Okay. So I will explain that. Okay, that's your own question. So who else has other things to say, or what you like your expectation for the SQL class? Okay, probably I should just start from yours. Okay, somebody said basics. Okay. So like one of the advantages, like what you said, one of the advantages of SQL, and most of the time is not major something that we always, like, it's not something that we really major on most of the time, because when we are talking about a data, like especially if we are employed in a good setup, so in a good company rather, or an organization, there is always a data engineer, data analyst, and data scientist. So the functions of a data engineer is the one to get the data from any kind of source. So the data can be from database, can be from different kind of source. So it is always the duty of a data engineer. But at times, especially working for a Nigerian company, or working for an organization that is not yet there, so as a data analyst, you may be the one getting out the data and know how to works with it. So whatever way, and that's why it's just good to have the both understanding, like have the basic understanding of it. So basically it's just like when a website or an app is built, there is always a schema, or there is always a database connected to, just like when you sign up on a website, you give in your details, and your details is stored in somewhere. Or yes, or probably when you purchase something on Amazon, purchase something uh on Konga, purchase something on what is this website also? All these e-commerce websites. Anytime you purchase something on their website, your details always go into a database. So that's how it is, like when people do things, or probably when somebody even on Udemy, anything e-commerce or even non e-commerce, providing a feedbacks on a website or using an app. So your data is going somewhere. So once that your data goes, it's just like majority of the time it goes into database, because database is large. So when it goes there, and they employ a data analyst to know, they understanding what is going on in their database, analyzing it, getting out the data. So basically you get an access. When I the last class on SQL, I tried to import a data. So the way it works is, when you want to open your MySQL workbench, it asks you for a password. So that's just like how a real database will be. So it's going to ask you for a password. Then when it asks you for a password, the organization will give you a password to their database, and you can easily write a query to check. Immediately we import that data, we are able to write a query to get maybe like the sales, get this, get that. So immediately you have access, they'll give you the password to their database and some of the security. So once you get the access to it, you can easily write a query to query out some of those data, and you can connect it to your data, like you can export that data after database. Especially database, for example, like the main function is to store data, and what you can always do there is to analyze data by writing query. And once you are done, the only thing that you can also do is to export that data to Excel, Microsoft Excel. So once you export it to Microsoft Excel, you can easily use it, maybe use some visualization tools in Microsoft Excel. Or you can also export, you may not even export it to Excel. You can open your Power BI. When we open Power BI, when I was explaining Power BI, I told you that you can import data from different source. So you can connect your Power BI to a database, whereby you will just import the instead of you importing from Excel. The last time we tried to import from Excel. So instead of you importing from Excel, you just import from MySQL or from SQL. So you can directly connect your Power BI to your database. So once you click your source, like where you want to get the data from that database, you can easily bring in the data in the database to Power BI. Then when you bring it to Power BI, you can easily open your Power Query, and when you open your Power Query, you can perform the analysis. So you can easily, and if you are not really strong at using SQL, you can just export it. After just getting that data, you can export it out to get what you are looking for. So am I able to answer your question? Am I able to answer your question? Hello?
Yes, yes, you did. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. So uh, so that's just basic functions of MySQL. You can connect your Power BI, you can connect your Tableau, you can export your data back to Excel. Then the basic thing is just you having access to it. And the only important place at time is just to know how to join. I think that's the most critical part of it, and is like it can be a must at times, especially when you want to apply for probably all these is it all these higher roles but as a junior or just normal entry, like entry levels of data analyst, I don't think they can ask you to be writing complex query. So it's then that you may need the knowledge of joining a lot of joins. So when that's the major complex part of SQL. So the data can be in like just like sub table. So instead of the data to be in a single table, and like Microsoft Excel, most of the data we do work with with Microsoft Excel are always in a big spreadsheet or big Excel sheet. So but when it comes to SQL, it always in a small amount. So the data can be of large row, but the column will not be large. It can just be like maybe 3 column or 4 column, but the rows can be large. So it may require you joining, just like a data for transaction. We have a data, the one we our from our previous class. We have the one of transaction. We have the one of what is it called? So we have different kind of, then if you can still remember, we have different data. We have for customer, we have for market, we have for transaction. So in that scenario, you may need to join maybe transaction with the date, or the the customer with the market. So you may want to see the trend from the customer, and from the customer and the from the customer and transaction, or the customer and market. So then you may need to join them. So that's when you may use maybe left join, right join, inner joins, and something, or outer joint, because we have different kind of joint, but it's just like a gradual process. So I'll be using W3 school to just try to go through the basics of uh, the basics of the basis of SQL. So to just know what I've talked about some of them in that class, but we may not really understand it. So you just see that it's just like the same, especially because I know some of our students here. Most of the time when some message me, I at times I may decided not to reply, just because I know that some of them, they don't check the video that I've dropped on the group. So they will just come with the question, whereas some of those questions have already been solved in those videos. So if we truly check those video, that like in that video we try to create a table, we try to import data, we try to use some select from, like we did it, like I explain it using creating table. Then also I imported a data, SQL data, whereby I use some of those commands also. So now, just talking today, I will just be explaining those the basics of them. So now you can see with this, you can see now, just like now in this particular scenario, there is a customer data. So and I cannot open, because this MacBook, and I'm not using my SQL here, just because my window is actually giving me some tough time. I thought maybe I would get another one today so that I can use it for the class, but that was not really possible for me. So like based on the last class that I explained my SQL, I explained how to write query using my SQL. You see that the first thing I explained there is just like creating a schema. And what a schema means is just like an house. Like schema is just like you want to, let me just say, you want to put a, like you want to pack a book, and you have a bag, like you are just probably, let me just say, you want to pack a book, but you just know that okay, I'm packing a book, and you've not started packing the book, and you bought a bag, like then you've not started packing the book, but you bought a bag. So that bag is just like, that you are going to pack a book, but you are buying a bag. That is, when you started packing the book, you already have a bag where you are going to keep those books. So schema is just like an house whereby your query or your data is being stored. So if you did not create a schema, there will not be way that those tables or those data will be stored. So schema is just like an house for your table and the SQL query you want to write. So that's why the first thing that you always, because I think somebody keep asking me what is the meaning of schema, what is the meaning of schema. So e just, and all this programming of a thing, the best way I can explain it, that's how I can explain it. It's not my, I, like the best way I understand it, that's how I can. And you learning programming sef, programming is not something that you can just understand like one two three. So you just, there are some things that you just know that okay, this is what they call it, this are, so far you can use it, that's all. Once you can use it, I think that's the best thing. So if you are just, well, I don't know sha, but most of the time there are things that I just know how to use, but even to really explain the concept behind it, it may not really be easy. So that's why, especially when you start writing complex stuff. So that's just it sha. So schema is just like an house where your data, your table, all these things are. So when you create the schema and there is a is it tools, I think tools, or if you check your mysql you see it at the top. So when you click it, and even if you watch that video, I try to click on it to create it. So once you click on that create schema, click creating the schema, then make that schema default. When you make it a default, because if you are running, like if you want to create a table or you want to import a data, an sql data, and you did not make that schema, if you don't make it a default, you may be working on, like you may just be working and it may not really take effect inside of it. So that's why it's always good to make it a default, that is anything you are doing should take effect in that, like you don't want to work outside that particular schema. So after creating the schema, you can just start by using some of those commands for curating table. So here I just want to, okay, let me try to check this thing again. I want to start with curating table. So again, SQL basics. I think this one is perfect for what I want to use. Okay. So what, and also like when it comes to database, we have different kind of database. We should just take note of that. There are some database that they don't respect, like there's some database that the data inside of them, they are not always in table. We have no SQL, and we have the one, just like my SQL now, there are data that work with tables. So there are some database that don't work with tables, and there are some that we cannot use when we are working with. So that's why when they are creating some database, there are some database that, because we have structured and unstructured data. So there are some database that does not come in form of table. Although as a data analyst too, you are meant to work with unstructured data. So it may be a challenge for you, or something you may need to learn on how to work with unstructured data. But at times, if you are working with the one with structured data, it's always very easy. So some of like the one my SQL that we are working with is like the one that work with structured data, and we have different kind of database also. So this and the queries that we use for every one of them are always the same. I think it's only BigQuery that has some SQL command that is not really, that it's kind of different. But when you write it and you see that it's not working, you can easily Google it that okay, this thing using BigQuery. So there will be a lot of resources, or probably somebody that has encountered that before, that will tell you that okay, this, or even a tutorial from BigQuery. So anybody can be interested in using BigQuery. I think when I did a Google data analysis course from Coursera, then they use BigQuery to explain how to use how to write SQL, or how to analyze data using, so they basically, and the reason why I that should be the best option for me sef, because I'm using Mac. I don't like, it's just online fashion. But the reason why I'm not using it is, I think after some days they will be asking for you to pay some certain amount of money. So, and once anybody is not working or using the skill to work, so it's just very okay to use the version that is very free, like that is completely free. So instead of stressing and save using a platform where they will be asking you to pay. So some of the keywords in SQL, we know that SQL stand for structured query language. It's just like a programming language too, but I cannot completely call it programming language. And some of the major commands that we use in SQL, they are select. Select is something we've tried to use before. Select is just like you use select to get out your data, just like how we use read underscore CSV with Python. So select use help you to get out some of your data from the database or from the table. So we use update, we use delete, we use insert, we use where. And I think I've explained the concept of insert when we create a table and we try to insert some value inside the table. So insert is just basically used to insert value inside the table after creating the table. Then where is just like you checking a limit, or checking, just like now if you have a categories of male and female, you can, or you know a certain name of person, or probably you, let me say okay, there is a sales, like there is certain sales, and you know, you just want to check, okay, you want to check the sales that probably they are above, or the goods that has the price above $50. So you can just use where this the sales is greater than this. So where is just like uh how can I explain this way, where is just you use it to check for something in your table, like you use where is just like as where it is like what the, like the meaning of where. So we just use it to check a certain thing, or to write a limit, or just like a limit checking a certain value from your table. So you want to hide some part, maybe where this is, you can just say where something is greater than this, and it's going to hide the one that is less. So you just getting the important details that you need. And we use delete to delete a row or even delete a table. We use update to update, probably there is something you've missed that you really want to add, you use update to add them. So using SQL, so you can also use, you can write SQL query using your web browser, and you can see some of the RDB. This just like some of this RDBM Microsoft all these database, we have MS Access, we have SQL Server, then MySQL is just basic what we've been using before. So that I told us to download, and we saw how. So that's just, and this relation database management system, that's what it means. And you can see some of, this is the basic SQL and source as. So we have Microsoft SQL Server, we have IBM DB2, we have Oracle, we have MySQL, and we have Microsoft Access. So these are just like relational database management system, and MySQL is our option for this particular course. So you can also use Oracle. There are some company that use Oracle, there are some company that use IBM DB2, there are some company that use MS SQL Server. So it depends on the one they use. That's why you learning this one, but most of those concepts are the same. It's just the interface that may be different. So you just need to adapt with the interface, or take some few courses, or even on YouTube you can see how to navigate your way around them. So depending on what the company you are working with or you want to work with are using. But most of the time they may not bother you accessing data from different database once there is a data engineer. But if there is no data engineer, that's when you may need to do that. So, and I've already explained how we can create table, and this is just like how you can, and we've tried this before. Select star. When there is star after select, that is, this star means select all, that is bring all data from customers. That's why anytime you see star or you want to use star, select star from customers. This star means select all the data from customer table. This customer is customer table, just like you can create it, or you can, okay, let's just even try it. I think there is a data there. Okay, I don't think they have data. Or do they? Okay, nice. I think this is actually awesome. So you see now that we have select star from customer, from customer. So this customer that we are using star from, this is just like the table for the customer, and we can see it. We have customer ID, customer name, we have address, city, postal code, and country. So these are just like details. These are details uh in the in the table. So, and just because you use star here, it bring out everything. So now I can just say select customer, customer name, customer name from, let me just say, okay, select customer name, customer ID, address from this. So let me run this. So we can see what happened now. Just because I said select customer ID, select customer ID, customer name, address from customers. This customer is the name of the table, and we can see here now that we only have customer, customer name, and address, just because I specify it here. So I can also say from customer, where where uh Okay, where address is equals to can we see now that just because I said, is it getting more complicated? This is just like basic analysis of, I'm just trying to, okay, let me stop here, let me ask us questions, like any question based on what I've explained before I move on. Hello, or should I just continue? Okay, so as a data analyst, like what I'm just doing now is just like I'm already analyzing this particular data. So now I started with just bringing out this and try to narrow it down to address equals to this. So I just want to know the details of the address, which is this, and I can see now that this address has the customer ID 5, customer name this, and this is the address. So I can just do this. Let me just clear this. So let me clear this and just put star, then let me run this. So you see now that putting star now gave me access to all, which is customer ID, customer name, address, city, postal code and country. So I can just clear this and run this. So now I have all the full details just because I use select star from customer. Customer is the name of the table. So now let me just go back here, then let me move to, so the database table that we saw why I used that particular query is just this the same data. So they are just trying to explain, okay, database most often contain one or more table. Each table is defined by name, which is customer or other. So table, so this particular table is named customers, not even others, but they are just trying to explain that it can be customer or other. So in this tutorial, so don't let me just be reading it. So basically, if you are working on MySQL or any kind of database, it's just the same command, that particular command I wrote. That's all. You see the way it works on this, that's how it's going to work on your MySQL, or if you are using any other database. So we've tried this. Most of the actions you need to perform on database are done with SQL statement. And this is just like an example of SQL statements. Let's start from customers. And we've already used this before. So okay, something is done here. semicolons after SQL statement is not always very important. There are times, like there are some database that you don't necessarily need it. Even MySQL, I think if you don't use it, it's going to work. But there are some that it may not work. So to be on the safer side, you can just always put semicolons at the end of your SQL query. Anytime you are writing your SQL statement, command, so it's always good to put that semicolon at the back. So some of the most important SQL command. So these are the most important SQL command that, and you can pick them one after the other to learn in depth of how to use them. Just like now, select extract data from a database, just the way we've been using it. We've used it in our previous classes and I've also used it today. So select extract data from a database. So any database you have, you can easily use your select statement or select command to extract data. So when you see update data, like update, the function of update, just like the way you call it update, it update data in a database. Like you have a database, maybe you have uh, just maybe you have a database whereby you want to correct something or you want to update a value. If a value for maybe like the numbers of quantity sold, if it is 20 something or maybe 30 something, and you find out that there is something you need, you have to update the numbers or you have to add something to it. So update command or statement is the right tools you use. Then also delete, we use delete command to delete data from a database. So we also use insert. We've used select, we've used insert, and I believe we can still remember how we try to insert some value in a table. And if you don't remember, you can just check that previous video for that particular class, how we are able to insert new data into a database. So also creating database. So when you use create database, that is you want to create a new database. If you are not working with already SQL data, that is SQL, already SQL data, you can actually create your own data. And I've made like I've done, like I've used a scenario for the example in previous class, whereby we created a database for IJAN, just like data. We inputted name, first name, and is it score and assessment score, if I can still remember. So we use this create database just to create a new database. Then you can alter a database too. Using alter database, the function is to modify a database. Create table, that's when after you've created a database, you can also create a table. And I think we created a table before in our previous class. We can also alter a table, that is modify it. So anytime you use all these particular command, alter then table, that is used to modify a table. Then also drop table is also used to delete a table. So anytime you want to delete a table, you use this particular command, drop table. Then create index, so we use that to create an index, that is SAS key. Then drop index. So you can also, we already like, anytime we are working with data. Okay, let me show something. This is just like an index number, which is 1 2 3 4 5, and at times it can be a primary key where there will be a foreign key in another table. So you can use drop index to drop a certain numbers of index that you want to drop, if you are not okay with it. So especially in terms of cleaning data in database, most of them, the often you use them, that's how you are going to know how to use them. And it will get to a time that you don't need to memorize anything. When you need them, you know how to check online on how to get them, and you use them. So when the more you learn, you may not be able to put everything in your head. So the more you learn different kind of things. So but the best thing is to know how to get them online. So how to, when you want to use them, how you can easily check online and get exact what you need. So also, if we want to select, just like I've demonstrate this select syntax, like if you want to, this just like the syntax select column one, we already know what column is. When we are talking about tables, we know what rows and column means. Column is just like features, like features of, like the names of the features and the value under it. So once you know your column, maybe you want to fetch out column one, column two, just like, okay, let me use this as example so that I will not just, so this is just column name. Customer name is column name, while contact name is also column name, address is also called column name, city is also called column name, and all these are called column. This is called column, this is called column, this is called column, while these are called rows, these are called rows, these are called rows. So if I want to um if the only thing that concerns me is customer name, customer name, contact name and address, or probably my manager or my stakeholders, what they are interested in is to get the postal code and the country name. Postal code, country, probably this company is a company that export goods or try to send goods to people, like ship goods from this particular location to another. They may only be concerned about the postal code, the country and the address. They may be less concerned about the names and the contact name, and it may be that what they need is the contact name and the postal code. So it may be like what they are really looking for in your data is just the contact name and the postal code. So here, with this kind of system, with this kind of statement, what you are going to do is select that particular name, just like select um contact name and country, contact name comma country comma, then from the name of the table. What is the name of the table? The name of this particular table is called customer. The name of the table is called customer. So here, when we come to this, so once you know the names of your, the name of, sorry, give me a minute, I'm coming. So once you know the name of your table, I think SQL should be the simplest of even all the tools. If we actually approach it well, I think it's the simplest among all the other tools. So once you know the name of your column, which I've tried to show us, like here we have the name of the column. Here is customer name, customer, contact name, address, city, postal code. So once you already know them, you just here select column, select the column. So you put in the column here and from the table. So these are just like basic syntax. You can write something like this down anytime you want to work with your data, get your data and the likes, and you probably want to work with some certain column. So that's how you go about it. Then selecting star, we've used it before. Select star means instead of this select column 1 and column 2, and if there is a column 3 here, from table name. So this if you run this particular command, what is going to show, okay, let me demonstrate it here. So let me demonstrate it by using the name of, so here, select, this is the column 1, which is customer name, column 2 contact name, column 3, which is city, column 4, which is postal code, from the table name. The table name here is customer. So if I run this now, so basically this gave me how many column name, 1 2 3 4, and I can see it here, which is 1 2 3 4, and it's not different from this. So this is just like select column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4 from the table name. So let me see other things here. So that's just like the implementation of this particular syntax. So here, select star from table name. So if we are using that syntax, so let me just try that. Instead of giving the name of those the name of the table name, that is the column name, we just put star, and what this does is it bring everything out without hiding or without selecting some part. So it's going to bring everything, and here we can see customer id, customer name, address, we have city, we have postal code, and we have country, just because we use star. So and we can see the demo of just what is expected of us, and we did the same here. We are able to see it here. So also example here, we can see select customer name, city from. So this is just like a column 1, column 2, just the way I've demonstrated before. And this is select star from customer, like selecting, try to get all the data in your table. So another function here is select distinct. So what select distinct is used for is just like it give the unique value, because at times data can be, or value can be, please excuse me, give me like maybe like 2 or 1 minute. Okay, so what distinct is used for is just giving out the let me use something in like Excel. Let me use Excel terminology. So it's just like you removing duplicates, because distinct will only, if you use distinct in uh, SQL query, what distinct will help you to do is to bring the unique value instead of bringing or, when we use star, it will bring everything. And if you select a column name as we have demonstrated before, so it's going to just bring out the name of that particular table, like the names of that column. It's going to bring it out. If it is just like column 1, it's going to bring it out. If it is column 2, just like here, it will bring column 1, column 2. So it's going to bring every details inside those particular column. But when you use distinct will only bring the unique value, that is the value that is not repeated. So if a value is being repeated, it's not going to bring it out. So that is duplicate. Distinct in MySQL or in SQL query is used to eliminate duplicate value. So anytime you use distinct, you are trying to eliminate duplicate value. So let me just read what is there. So the select distinct statement is used to return only distinct, that is different value. So inside a table, a column often contain many duplicate value, and sometimes you only want to list the different distinct value. So what is just trying to say is that there can be a duplicate in your value, in your data, and if you don't want them, because here in Microsoft Excel you can easily click highlight it, select remove duplicate, it's going to remove it. But here you cannot do that, you have to write it yourself. Anything you want, you have to write it yourself. And how can you do that? You can only do that by using distinct. So once you use distinct, it's going to eliminate any duplicate. It's just only going to give out the value without. So I'm going to try to use it to implement it, so that you can see how it is being used. So here, instead of this star, I'm going to use distinct. So distinct, what is the column name? So let me use, so let me just use all this customer name. So now, so select distinct customer ID. These are just like names of the table, uh the names of the column you want to work with, which is customer ID, customer name, address. So and we want to only work with distinct, to know the, just to bring out the values that are unique, the value that does not have a duplicate value. So if I run it now, it's just going to, so now we can see that before we use distinct. Okay, let me remove distinct and see if the numbers of our record will be 21. So let me just remove distinct and let me run it. You can see now that the numbers of our record is 21, that is, there is no duplicate in our data. So distinct is always used to eliminate or to check for duplicates. I quickly want to plug my laptop. Okay, so that's the concept of these things. This is just like basic analysis part of my SQL query. So when you get the data, you may want to check for duplicates from your SQL data, and one of the way you can do it is by using distinct. So distinct will only bring out the unique value, and you can see here that this made us to know that this our record does not have a duplicate value, because initially before we use these things, the data record, the numbers of the record is 91, and after using it, we can still see that the numbers of record is 91. That is, everything here they are unique, there is no duplicate. So below is selection from the customer table so that's just what is here. Is you can see now the select example without this thing, the following. So basically the function of this thing is to check for duplicate, and they also try to perform some other, just like count is just to count, like what this count is used for here is just to count like the unique value in country, just to know how many value in the country. So here my own, just because I've seen the numbers of record here, which is 91, I don't really bother about using count on them. So if you are working with a database whereby the number does not show, because this one is just like a platform for tutorial, or I think that's why these numbers of record is here. So majority of the time it may not be there when you are working with your own data, so it may be necessary or compulsory to use count, just to be sure the numbers of your data. So dey working with only country here, select distinct from country. So we can also replicate the same, we can replicate the same. So let me clear this. So let me just clear this. So here we can see that using this on country, we only have unique, that is, these particular countries are repeated, but is not repeated, is not in terms of duplicate. I believe we know the meaning of duplicate and we know the meaning of repeated. When somebody is or a country appears in multiple times, but it appears with different details. So it's not like duplicate is when, just like a country appear in the same, maybe Nigeria in a row has other details that are the same with Nigeria in another row. So that's like a repetition. So but if Nigerian is being used in a row and has other elements that are different from another Nigerian used in another row, that's not a duplicate value. But here it's just bringing out only the unique, that is, Germany is repeated but not duplicate, Mexico is repeated. So here we can only see that the numbers of record of, in terms of the country, they are just 21 instead of 91. So and we can use count on them, because if that did not show, so we can easily use can't. And this does not SQL is not case sensitive, so you can type your command in small letter, and you can also type it in capital letter, so it's going to work. So it's not always case sensitive. So here now you can see now that using count on this distinct country it gave us 21 without stress. So I can also check for other features, which is contact name. Let me use contact name. Let me use contact name. So me checking, you will see here that the unique value of contact name is 91. So summing the contact name with the unique, so this distinct is just basically used to check for duplicate value. You can see now that the unique value in contact name is 91. So and when we check for country, the unique value in country is 21. That is, country is being repeated but they are not duplicate. So let me check for address also. So let me run this, and you will see here that the unique value in our address also is 91. I think it's only country that has 21, just because some of those country. So we have 21. So let me now do something now. Let me use select country. Okay, okay, distance. Okay, let me pick Germany. Select country, where country is equals to Germany. So you will see here that, just for me to see what is going on, you will see here that Germany is being used in 11 times. So I just use this command to see how many Germany used in this command, in this data. You see that Germany appears in this particular table in 11 times, but they are unique. They are not no, they are repeated, but they are not duplicate, because if they are duplicate it will be much easier for us to see. But they are just repeated. I don't know, maybe you get, they are just repeated, they are not duplicate. So I can also check on another country. Let me check on Mexico. Mexico. So checking for Mexico now, we only have 5 Mexico. So Mexico is repeated in 5 times, but is not duplicate. Let me check if our country Nigeria is there. So Nigeria is not among. So let me check USA. So USA is there, and USA appears 13 times, but it's just repeated, like they use USA in 13 times, but it's not a duplicate value. So let me pause here, and if anybody has a question before I proceed. So if you have question, you can ask based on what I've explained. So any question based on what I've explained, or should I just continue? Okay, I think nobody is asking question. So basically, distance is used to check for duplicates in your database or in your SQL data, and you can use your count to, if the, but working with MySQL, it will not give you the numbers of data there. So you can use count to know the numbers of distance, the numbers of unique value in your database or in your table when you are writing your query. So now where clause, I've also used where clause, which the where clause is used to filter record. So I think this is the best way to present it, because then I was just trying to illustrate what it does. So basically where clause is used to filter record, and I've tried to use it writing query command there. Abi? Okay, yeah, yes, I use it here. Select country from customers where country is equals to USA. So I'm trying to filter this table, filter the column, the value, the details in country. I'm trying to filter it with USA. So where country is equals to USA, that is the only thing that interests me in this particular column, which is country. The only thing I want to see is USA. So country is equals to USA, and you can see here that that's the only thing that is being displayed. So select country from customer where country is equals to USA. So where clause is used to filter record, and it is used to extract only those records that fulfilled a specified condition. So where syntax, just like we can use the names of column as we already know. So select column, select column one, column two, just you can just put the names of the column you want to work with, and from the table. So these are just like the syntax that we can write all these things down, because these are just like a template for writing SQL query or SQL command. So select the column name, you put in the column name you want to work with, and another column, if you are working with one, you are working with many, you can just keep specifying the name, and from the tables that you want to perform that particular, so you want to bring out a column from a table, so you must know the names of the column you are bringing out, and also the table name. And where clause is just like a condition, just to filter, and this is just like an examples of that. Select country from, select country, country is a column name, and customer is the name of the table, while the where clause is used to filter the column name, which is equals to, this is just like the value inside the country, which is USA. So we want to filter the country column by USA. Where clause is not only used in select statement, it's also used in update or delete. So anytime you want to update or you want to delete, you may not want to delete everything in your data or in your table, in your database or in your table. So you can easily specify that okay, where this is this, that's where I want to drop, or where this particular where country is equals to USA. So I want to drop, you may decided that you want to drop all the USA from your data, like from your data, the data in your table. So you may want to delete all the USA. So you can just say delete, instead of select you may use delete, and you can put the where clause specifying that okay, this particular rows that I want to delete, or this is the particular columns I want to delete, and also a particular column you want to update, and the particular column you want to delete. So this is just like a demo, and we've been seeing this customer ID, customer name, customer contact name, address, city, postal code. So this is just like the data we are working with. And you can see I've used an example like this: select star from customer where country is equals to Mexico. So this using star will bring out everything. So here, instead of me using select country from customer, so I can just say select star. So it's going to bring everything, but only that. So select star from customer where country equals to USA. So if I do that, you will see here that the only thing here is we filter all the table, like element in the table, customer ID, customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code, country by country, which is USA. So the only thing that we are going to see, we like it's brought out. So this is just like data analysis, like we are trying to analyze it. So here we can export this to adding we are working on MySQL now. We can export this. So you can see now that out of 91 record, this is just like 13. So probably you are working with maybe 160 something thousand, and the only record that interests your stakeholder is just like the only data from USA. So you can just write this query to get it and export it to Excel. So you can now make some visualization on it. So that's just the basics of. So we can use Mexico here also to see what is going on there. Mexico. So if I run this now, I can see now that the numbers of Mexico only appears 5 times, and you can see it here. So you can see address. So you see now that it make it more easier for you to know what is going on in Mexico. So this you can easily export this to Excel if you want to maybe present this to your stakeholders or your project manager, so that this okay the postal code in Mexico, this is it, and the city in Mexico. You may really want to know the cities in Mexico that participated in what is like that give the address and participated in basically what generates this particular data. So and we also have some, the way we have operators in Python, we have in different other things. We also have operators in MySQL, or basically SQL. So because MySQL is a software which SQL is being used in all those particular software. So we have some operators, and these are kind of their description on what they do, like their functions. So we have equals to operators, and what when we are talking when I was explaining Python, equals to in Python is double equals to, but here e still obey that normal equals to in mathematics. equals to is equals to, the description of equals to is equals to, then greater than is greater than, less than is less than, greater than or equals to is also the same thing, and less than or equals to is also the same thing. So both math and SQL. So this sign, you know, when we are working with Python, is exclamation mark equals to, that's what Python recognizes as not equals to. But uh when it comes to SQL, so this greater than or less than, that's what it recognize as not equals to. Then between a certain range, then like search for a pattern, then in. So this, all these are being used in writing SQL command. So I want to use this not equals to, and let's see what will happen. So instead of here, we use equals to. Now I want to use not equals to. So these are just basic things you'll be using. Why none equals to, the totality of this data is 91. So now I'm using select star from customer where country is less or greater. So this, the meaning of this that I know is less than or greater than Mexico, but the meaning in SQL is not equals to Mexico. That is, all the data that I want it to bring, it should eliminate Mexico. So if I run this now, you see now that the totality of our data before was 91. Now it has eliminated Mexico out of this particular data, and Mexico is 5. So just like uh the total is, let me just write it here, total equals to 91, and Mexico is equals to 5. So eliminating Mexico from our data set is just like 91 minus 5, which will give us 86. So using this non equals to, you can see now that we are able to eliminate Mexico from our data. So I can also eliminate USA and see what will remain. So me eliminating USA, you see that USA has a very large number, so it occurs in I think more often. So here you can see that the numbers of record that we have is 78, just because we said not equals to USA. Am I making sense with what I'm explaining? Are we still learning something?
Yes, yes, yes. We are learning.
Okay. So that, because I'm not seeing and I see people keep leaving, so I'm scared that what is going on. So that's why I'm trying to ask. So all these things are just like something we can implement on our MySQL. So if we take note of them. So let's move to another functionality. So another thing in SQL is we have or, we have and, we have or, and we have not. So these are also called operators. What the former operator, like the first operators I explained now, they are just like plus, greater than, less than, greater or equals to, less than or equals to, then not equals to. So and also these are also called operators. We have and, or, and not operators, and you can see it here. So the where clause can be combined with and, or, and not operators, and or operators are used to filter record based on more than one condition. So these are also used the way we use them in, like the way we use all these arithmetic operators, the one we forced to work with. So that's how this also works, and you can see some of the template or the syntax of how to use them. So select column 1, column 2 from table where condition. These are just like basic syntax. If I would have loved us to just keep writing some of this syntax. You just keep inserting those names. Once you have those particular templates, you just keep changing. Now, you may be working with the table and you already know the column 1, the name of it. You can just put it here, the names of your column 2, then the name of your table, then where the condition 1 and condition 2. So you can put in the condition, and using and or is a syntax that if one condition is true, is going to execute it, but when it comes to and, it's going to mandatory the both condition. And there are some examples here that we can take a look at. So now this is just like one example. Okay, let me start with and. So this is just like one example. Select star from customer where country is Germany and city. So let me just move this. So let me try this on the data. So this is the platform for writing our query. So now I would love to just keep taking it step by step. So running this gave us all the records, that is select star from customer. So now select star from customer. This select star, as I've explained, give us all the records from the table customer. So where country is equals to Germany. Your where can be in capital letter and it can also be in small letter. Where country is equals to oh, oh, Germany. So we've used select star from customer to select all this. So where country is equals to Germany. So now is able to filter out the country by Germany. So the only record we are going to see here is Germany, and that's the only thing that we are able to see. So now we want to use the and operators. We can use capital letter and we can use small letter. So it's going to work. SQL is not case sensitive. So we also want to work with another country, which is Mexico. So if I run this now, it's telling me, let me see, am I okay? Okay, they work with city here. Let me try their own and see what will happen. City. So now we can see here that, so let's start from customer, where country equals to Germany and city equals to Berlin. So now we are trying to fetch out, uh, so using and command we are trying to check out for a country and a city. And this, and one thing about and is, if one condition is not true, if a condition is not true, like just like Germany now, a country equals to Germany is true. If, okay, let me, instead of Benin, okay, okay, let me try something out. Let me put Osun. So now we can see here that there is no result, despite that country is equals to Germany, that is Germany is very correct, that is I use a correct value here, which is where country is equals to Germany. Then and city is equals to Osun is not correct, because Osun state is not in Germany. So uh just because one thing is not correct here, that's why it's giving me no result. So that's one dangerous part of and. So and we make sure that the two conditions are true. So if a condition is true and a condition is false, just like Germany is true while Osun is false, so it results to no result, like it's not giving me anything. So now I'm not giving the correct details here. So if I run it now, you can see now that just because this and this is correct, so it's able to give me the correct output, which is the country is Germany while the city is Berlin. So now instead of and, I want to use or operators. So I want to change it back to also, then use or. So if I run this now, you will see here that these all operators work for this, and what this does is that it knows that this Germany is correct, this Germany is true, while Osun is false. But just because we are using all operators, what all does is that once one condition is true and the other is false, it's going to go for the one that is true. Just like now it's go for Germany, and you can see here that everything here country is Germany, but in city you can't see Osun state here, you can't see Osun here. But just because one is true, is going to execute the code. But if one is not, if the two are not correct, that's just when it may not execute anything. But once a condition is true, it's going to execute it. And here country is Germany, which is true, while the city is false. But if you are using and, it's not going to show anything. So I think we know the usefulness and the implication of the two, which is and or. So this is just something like this here. So I've just tried to explain that. And we also have notes. So how can we use notes? Let me just use this their example and see what it is. So yes, let's start from customer, that is selecting everything where not country is equals to Germany and not country equals to USA. So what this is telling us is that anything you are bringing out, so far we've used star. Select star from customer, that is bring all the details from customer, but still yet not where the country is not Germany and not USA. That is, out of all the data that you are giving me, the country must not be equals to Germany, while the country must not also be equals to USA. So there must not be Germany and there must not be USA from my table. And if we check it now, you will see that the two of them are being eliminated. So we can also even add more. Let's add UK. So we can, so let's use UK also. uh, so now we can see we've already, so what the meaning of this query command is just like select all, that is try to bring out all the details from customer, but I don't want to see the country Germany, I don't want to see the country USA, I don't want to see the country UK. So I'm trying to write a query command that eliminates, that give me country excluding Germany, USA and UK. So that's just what that query means. And you can see here that our total record is 91 and now is now 60. So 91 minus 60, that's like how many, so the counting of the, like how many times Germany appears and USA and UK. So it's just like, let me just make, let me do the simple mathematics. So 91 minus 60, that's like 31. So 31 record, 31 rows has been eliminated from this particular table, which comprises of Germany, USA and UK. So I've demonstrated how to use or, and not. So these are also called operators and they can be used with where clause, which are used for filtering. So another keyword is order by. Order by keyword. So it's also important when you are writing your query command. So anytime you are writing your query command, order by is also important. And what is order by used for? So order by is just like when you want to, just like from the word order by is used to sort the result set in ascending or descending order. So you may really want your data to be in either ascending or descending order. So anytime you are working with a data that you want your output to be in ascending or descending order, you need order by. So order by is the only thing that can help you to bring out your data when you are writing SQL command. So order by will help you to either, you like, it will help you to bring out your data in either ascending order or descending order depending on what you specify. So by the the order by keyword is used to sort the result set in ascending or descending order. So the order by keyword sorts the record in ascending order by default. So we are going to try it out also out, and this is just like the syntax of the code. Select column 1, column 2 from table name and order by column 1, column 2. So it can be ascending order, which is ASC, or descending order. So we are already familiar with column 1, which like any of your column, the names of your column 1, column 2, and we already knows our table. So this table is not like you can probably create your own table and give it another name. And so is that name that you give to your table or the name of your table if you import a data, because you may import a data and you may create it yourself. So if you create it yourself, you will be referencing or referring to the name of the table you call your table, and also the names of the column that you give your column. Or if you import it, you'll be referencing to the names of the table you imported and the names of the column inside that particular table. So how can you use order by? So this is just like the plain syntax on how to use it, but we are going to demonstrate it. So this is just like an example. Let me just copy it and let's run it on the editor. So now we want to select star from customer, that is select everything, then order by country, that is it should be in order of country, but this we are not specifying if it is ascending or descending. So it's going to follow the alphabetical order of the country. So what is the alphabetical order of the country? Just like now we have Argentina, you will see now that okay, don't let me use let me I want to clean this so that we can see it first, then we can now use it. So now you can see that number one here is Germany, and followed by Mexico, UK, Sweden, Germany. So these are just like the names of the country that you see. But now I want to use order by, and let's see what it means, like the function of it, and you see the effect that is going to take place on that particular data set. So select start from customer, order by country. So once I run it now, you will see that this country now has Argentina, Australia, Belgium. You see now that country now follow alphabetical orders, which we have A, B, then probably C, D. So now country now follow alphabetical order. So if we order by, let's use order by city. So if we use order by city, you see now that it now take order of the city, which start from A, B, and you will see here that if you notice here that customer ID change, you see now that 17 is now number 1, 65 is now number 2, 55 is now number 3, 29 is now. So this does not follow the customer ID anymore, is now following the city. So let me use customer ID and see what will happen from that customer ID. Customer ID. So if I run customer ID now, so order by customer ID, you see now that it follow a right order, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I change it to contact name, contact name contact name. So you can see now that this contact name follow alphabetical order, and it change the customer ID just because we are order by, like order by is just like to follow a systematical order. So that's just the function. So also you see that as I'm just writing it, I'm not specifying that is in uh, either ascending or descending, but it's just like following the normal alphabetical order. That is from, is it from, it's coming from beginning downward. So I think that should be ascending order. So it's automatically following ascending order. But now I want to specify using this particular query command. So if I try to, so now let's start from customer, order by country, and this is like in descending order. So let's try to see the descending order of the country. So you will see now that this starts from Venezuela. So this is a country, I think this is the last, like in terms of alphabetical order, this will be the end, like the last part, and then followed by USA because it's descending order. So from the back to the front. So you will see now that the last here is Argentina. So and it starts from this V. So if I use ASC, is it ASC? So it should be ASC, that's ascending order. So if I run it now, like it follow ascending order. So starting from A and it's going to end at B. So I think this is a nice place to stop tonight. So if there is any question, I can easily give time for people that are still on the call to ask questions based on what I've explained before we call it a night. With this kind of method, do we really have the insight on how SQL query is being written or how you can work with it? Hello?
Yes, the insight is clear. It's clearer.
Okay. Okay, so should I still use this method more before we now go back to our major database?
Yes, I think this method is easier to assimilate and follow up. The method is it's sort of easy to understand.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to do that till probably we complete all those particular topics. Then we'll now bring them together using our MySQL. So we'll now use our MySQL to write all those particular query. So any more contribution from other people too?
Thank you very much for the class. This was really, really good. Like, it was very easy for me to understand. And the fact that obviously you can go back to it yourself and go through it is just so easy. Thank you, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. So who else has a question or probably contribution? So the class is recorded. Immediately we end the class now. I'll try to upload it on YouTube so that I can share the link for us to revisit probably the part that we're unable to get, or maybe network issue. So we'll be able to revisit them. So if there is anything, maybe we should just call it a night. So if there is, and let me ask about the progress of the uh, correction or adjustment on the last assignment. So are we still working on it, or we're done with it? I should be sending out another one before this week ends. Tomorrow is Friday. Let me say maybe before next week, sha. So I should be sending another one. But I just want us to submit that. Okay, please you can go ahead to speak.
Okay, sorry, good evening. If I get your question right, do you mean we are to redo the assignment and resubmit? Is that what you're insinuating?
What I'm actually, I try to check some of them, and I think I make, is it last class was, no, a class before the last one was based on the correction of the assignment, based on what people like, their perspective towards it. So I just try to correct some, and some agree to made some adjustment before I assess it, giving everybody score. So, and I think it can be optional. Let me say it's optional. So if you feel that there's an adjustment, although the time should, like, the deadline should be tomorrow, because I did that last week. So giving them an opportunity to revisit it based on the corrections I made. So if anybody wants to make an adjustment, okay, you can speak please.
Okay, I'm just getting to know that this evening. So why not give the grace up until next week so that those that are just knowing this for the first time or are getting to know this can actually work on theirs before the deadline, which is next week, please. Thank you. That's my suggestion.
Okay, that's really
Uh,
okay.
mm,
Okay, you
okay,
can go ahead to
sorry.
speak, please.
Okay, sorry. I wanted to make it clear. I'm currently financially strapped down for now, and the system I've been managing it has crashed. And I cannot afford to fix it for now or even get another one. So it's really troubling me because I've not really been practicalizing most of these things I've been teaching, and I just feel very, very terrible. So I don't know if there is anybody I can be sharing system with, or anybody that has share system can just help me, please.
Okay, okay, let me start from the first request. So my own, like, the main goals I'm working towards is at least the little time we spend to, like, what we learn, we should be able to practicalize it or probably understand it very well. So if you are requesting for time to work on it, you are free to work on it, because my own goal is to see improvement, so that I can see that our gathering is not wasting of time, we are learning something. So you can still work on it till next week. So far my own goal is to see improvement on those projects. So, and also for Mr. David, if somebody help you to work on it, you are not learning it, that's just the fact. The only thing I would just suggest is probably if you have a friend that you are close to or is around where you are, that you can probably ask for, if they can allow you to use their laptop. It may be like maybe 1 hour, maybe 30 minutes. You may just watch those video and have a note to write what you really want to do down. So once you have what you want to do down, it will not really take time using another person PC. So if there is somebody around you that has a laptop that you can probably talk to, like me now, I thought like I'm planning to get a window laptop, but I've not, like I don't really have the money now so to buy. So I was trying to get my friend laptop to use for today's class. I think if I'm able to get it, I would have used it instead of using this Mac, because Power BI is not working here. So basically my plan is to teach Power BI. So you can also use those methods if you have a friend that have, or probably somebody closer to you or anywhere, because if somebody help you with the assignment, you are not learning. That's just it. So you are not learning anything.
No, 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 no. I'm not saying anybody should help me with the assignment. I'm saying if anybody has their system, that was what I'm saying.
Okay, okay, okay. I think I did not hear that well.
Uh,
So I thought maybe you said if
yes.
somebody can help you with. Okay, now I
No, no,
understand.
no. I can't see.
Okay, now I understand. So if there is an option, like if anybody asks, so if anybody can help with that. So I'm also planning to get a window, and I've not even, I don't really have money now. So so, and if you have anybody around you too that they are closer, because I think that will work best. If like if you have somebody around you closer that you can easily use or take sometimes till you are able to afford one.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. So any more, anything like anything that you still, although this is already 9 or 1 minute after 9. So if we have other things that we want to, probably you should just try to DM me, talk to me if you need some clarification on some things. But I'm going to upload these videos and share the link so that we can make use of it by rewatching it or revisiting it. So thank you for joining, and thank you for staying till the end of the class, because some joined and some left. So thanks for joining and thanks for staying to the end. So good night everyone.
Good night, sir.
Night.
Good night, sir.